I woke up again last night after hearing the same haunting noise that has plagued me since my childhood. This time, however, is the first time I'd heard it during my adult life. When I was younger, I called the noise sideways static, but now I don't give it a name as I'm trying to forget that it exists. When I was 6 or so, my family was killed in a fatal car accident. I was the only survivor. My only memory of the incident is seeing some men in uniforms rescue me from that abhorrent mess, which was once my family car. The weird thing that always haunted me about the incident was that the men who rescued me were not cops or paramedics. Instead, these men were more like a secret government unit of some kind. However, I always just figured that it was just my childish imagination making wild ideas about being rescued by secret agents, which was always a childhood interest of mine. The other weird thing about it is hearing the sideways static noise for the first time. It was distant, but there. It has been following me off and on ever since. Since my parents died, I stayed with my grandmother until she passed away when I was about 20. She left me her house and all of her other possessions, seeing that neither of us had anyone left. I lived a normal adolescence, suburban life for the most part, except for one thing. Every 3 or 4 years, I would hear a faint sound outside of my house, like a man crawling or walking slowly outside my window. And then, a faint sound eerily like static. I felt it was almost saying something to me, but I couldn't tell what. I told my grandmother, but she, and I too after a while, took it as childish nonsense. We lived together throughout the rest of her days in peace, with little other disturbances in our lives. Today, I had a visitor come to my door who nearly shocked me to death. It was a man wearing the secret agent suit, the same secret agent suit from the night my parents died. He told me that he'd been watching for a while and that it was time for us to leave. I felt myself unable to resist. Before we left, I set up a few cameras in my room, garage, and kitchen. After staying in the hotel for a night, he explained to me that his organization has been watching me for a long time. He and his comrades were part of an organization that watched out for children who lost their parents. He also told me about a creature who had crossed from another dimension of space-time to try to capture me for causing something that altered the timelines of both my world and its own. He then explained that it had crossed over many times, but wouldn't take me because I was under my grandmother's care. But now that she has passed, I'm free for him to capture. After returning home, I immediately checked the cameras to see if the creature had made it into my house. What I heard and saw on the cameras scared the life out of me. The video recorded the static noises getting louder and louder until I heard a voice in the static say, "I killed them. I killed my family. Mother, father, I'm sorry. I will catch him. I will make him pay for what we have done." The voice almost sounded like a normal person, except it was paired with a darker, raspier voice. All of a sudden, my doors busted off the hinges. A man with half of his face ripped off crawled into my house and began to beat loudly on the floor. He tore at his flesh and shattered in pain as he ran through my house, looking for the person who destroyed his life. I continued to watch as the mangled body walked through my kitchen, fall to the ground, crying, sobbing, and shouting out the words again and again. In a strange way, I felt a frightening connection between myself and the creature. It was like seeing someone after years of last meeting. I felt a profound sadness and fear as I watched the wretched being crawl around and sob as if everything it loved was destroyed in front of it. The static was unbearably loud as the creature writhed on the floor in a horrifying manner. After nearly 20 minutes of this, a few secret agent men broke in through my front door and caught the body and put it in a body bag and carried it outside. My secret agent guardian was standing at my doorway when I walked out of my room. I look at him in horror and in desperate need for answers. The only words I managed to utter was, "What was that?" "You," he said. I couldn't believe it. I felt connection with the sad soul because it was me. I was angry at myself for killing my parents all those years ago. It was then when I realized that my guardian agent was actually my guardian angel, who saved me after I caused my parents to die. My parents died because instead of paying attention to the road, they were trying to soothe their 6-year-old son with a bellyache. This led them to skid off the road and wrap the telephone pole like a Christmas present. I began to recall the images of the wreck, the car on fire, my parents dying slowly from the heat, and the bright lights of someone approaching to grab me out of the flaming car. My guilt was unbearable after hearing this. I felt the whole world turn upside down as deafening static blocked all of my senses. I felt myself ripping at my skin and hair, but I felt no pain. I began to uncontrollably move my lips in words that were seared into my mind. "I killed them."